Welcome to the History of Science. I'm really happy that you decided to take this course over the summer. Today's introductory lecture is really just to give you a quick overview of what the course looks like. So I'm going to share the screen. We're going to walk through some of the elements of the course. So if you look, you will find that the course is laid out very much as you would anticipate. It will have a variety of different kinds of elements to it, very much like other courses you have taken. If you have never taken a course, though, online, this will be a new experience for you. And I know that we have some students that are maybe new to Nazareth College. So we'll start with that. So we're going to share the screen. And voila. So this is Moodle. Moodle is what we call a learning module platform, or it's used to store all of our information. It's where you're going to have your interactive discussions. It's where you'll upload all of your assignments. And there's different elements to it as well. You can see that some of the assignments are over on the left-hand side as well. And of course, in the center will be the key materials. First thing you'll notice is that if you have questions, you can, special discussion forum at the very top, you can ask questions about different elements. There's a section called Important Course Materials, both our code of conduct, syllabus, the course calendar, and this introductory lecture, which is going to be loaded up on that in something called Echo 360. The wiki assignment is going to be more or less weekly. It's not going to be every week, but more or less. You're going to be assigned names, and you'll see that on the various elements. If you open up the wiki, you'll see American scientific figures, and you'll begin to, by creating a page, you'll begin by adding a bio. So you would do something like, if you were assigned Thomas Edison, you would write a very short biographical element. This way you're getting content without me having to lecture on it. And then you're sharing that content with everyone else in the class, which makes it much more interactive and interesting and useful. I'll be interested to see what kind of things you do. So you'll be using that. There's a couple of short papers that you'll be writing. I'm very interested in the way that science is portrayed in public, in museums, and some other things. It's only a 6-week class, so I'm not going to ask you to watch a bunch of movies about scientists. That would be far too long. If we had 15 weeks, you'd have more time to do that, but you really don't. You do have one book that you're going to purchase. Everything else will be here on Moodle. It's The Pandemic Century. I want you to get the most up-to-date version because he's got a special chapter on COVID-19. So please make sure you do get that. And then we're going to talk about what science is in the first week. And that's really important because for me as a historian and a historian of ideas and culture and power, it's very important that you understand that science is not truth, not in the way that has been suggested to you perhaps in your television shows, or when people get up beside a politician and say, well, I'm a scientist and this is what we need to do about COVID-19. In fact, science is a cultural construct like everything else. And so you're going to be doing some readings. You're going to explore some of the ideas in that. Graduate students will have additional readings every week. So graduate students, you just have to work harder because, of course, this is graduate level work. You need to be working up to the level of a college professor as opposed to a very good student. So you'll have generally 2 to 3 assignments per week. The first assignment, the first week, obviously, will be your introduction. It's going to be a video introduction, and you'll see that on here. Assignment 2 is going to be a reflection on your reading. I want you to think about how you were taught math or science or some of the other things. And then, again, graduate students will have separate assignments every week. Week number 2, we're going to get into content area. We're going to talk a little bit about this, ideas about what science was like in the Atlantic world. We're going to pick up on ideas like post-colonialism. See, again, science is a construct, so it's embedded in all the other networks of power and ideas and structures of our societies. So we'll look at that. We'll look at some readings from various historians of science. I've used a book and cut some chapters out that I've put up on Moodle here that you can see. And again, once in a while, you'll have a crash course assignment. Crash course, there's this guy named John Green and his brother have made a series of videos about history. that are pretty good, and they're short, and they're not me, which will make it more interesting for you, I'm sure. So you've got that going on. You've got a variety, again, of assignments during the week. Week number 3, we're going to get into everything from the American Revolution to the Civil War in terms of science. Again, we're going to be looking at how science became tied not just to democracy, but also to white supremacy, white privilege, and we'll take a look at some very interesting developments as to the construction of racial science. You've got a lot of reading in week 3, so I would suggest you read ahead if you can, and look at all of the readings due that week. You've got a short article by me. I'm populating this with the several works that I've done simply because there is no one textbook about the history of science. Although good news, I've actually been hired to put one together, but it won't be available until at least 2022, maybe even 2023. Thank you, pandemic. You've got, again, a lot of readings to do, some assignments. We go into week number 4, and we start getting into questions of capitalism and how business and corporations reshape the scientific activity, if not the ideas of science, how science was deployed. And so we're, again, going to be looking at several things, including, yes, something by me and several short pieces by other historians of science. Really interesting thing this week that I think you'll love is Donna Haraway's Teddy Bear Patriarchy. Again, it fits in with this idea of how science is constructed in a paternalist, if not patriarchal, structures of Western society, and how that shapes how science is viewed in the Natural History Museum in New York. And it's a brilliant piece. She is in the same realm as someone like Michel Foucault. She has taught her entire career in the History of Consciousness program at the University of Santa Cruz. And of course, anybody familiar with Marxism knows that consciousness is always related to Marxist theory. So yes, she is a Marxist. Most of the professors that you meet, whether they know it or not, are going to be working in a sort of Marxist structure. Again, as a historian of ideas, I'm well aware of that. That's one of the things that I study, which is why I have the hermeneutics of suspicion about anything anyone tells me. I always want to look back historically and see the historicist origins of it. This will be an interesting course for you because I think it will raise your consciousness. All right, so you've got the readings for week 4 and the assignments. You've got a couple of assignments. And grad students, you've got your own separate assignments in addition to the undergraduate work. We'll get into science since World War II, what we sometimes call big science. Some of the elements of how science has structured our understanding of the universe. And really, at that point in time, you're going to be thinking about Konigsberg's book, Pandemic Century. I want you to read and talk about separate chapters. You've been assigned chapters. The reason I did that is because I want you to have active learning in this sense, because you're going to be writing a book review about Konigsberg, and it's good to get somebody else's ideas through these various chapters. And then sort of a culminating assignment, reflecting on American science. And then finally, really interested in some sort of research paper or a project, let's call it, because it's not going to, 6-week class, you won't be able to get as much done, but it'll be a really good beginning, perhaps good enough to give at a conference somewhere, like a 10-page paper. But your assignment will be to put together a final research paper, 7 to 10 pages. It could be on anything, really, anything that we've covered, but you'll talk to me first and we'll figure out what it is you're going to do. And again, we can get into more details as we get closer, because I'm going to have little reviews at the beginning of each week so you understand what's going to be coming due and why. This whole thing was merely to give you an introduction to the class, get to know a little bit about me by seeing me in person, and then again, familiarize yourself with Moodle. I do hope you'll hop on and play around and see some things. I have to say that I'm going to tweak the syllabus yet again, so the syllabus itself is not the perfect final end-all. Professors like to keep their syllabus active right up until the very final days before classes start. because we like to perfect it and we're always trying to do something new. So I'll probably be tweaking that through this week as well. All right, well, it was great talking to all of you. I hope to meet you in person. I look forward to seeing your discussions and, of course, your introductions, which will be videos of you talking to me and the rest of the class. All right, we'll see you online. Bye for now.